Do you feel as though you're walking around on eggshells in your relationship, that you can't speak your truth? That when you bring up how you feel or your emotions, you're made fun of or even bullied? So how do we stop being bullied in a toxic relationship and regain our identity? If you're interested in learning about that and understanding how to build back your power in this type of situation, you will not want to miss this video. Welcome back, friends. Berges here today, and today I want to talk about being bullied in a toxic relationship. And I know we use the word bullied, but bully means like we can't be ourselves. We're walking on eggshells. We're scared of speaking our truth because when we have done it in the past, well, not good things have happened. We've gotten yelled at, maybe name called, made to feel bad about who we are, or made to even feel bad about our feelings. So it comes a time that we got to push back. We've got to find our power to ultimately find our true identity, even in the middle of a toxic relationship. It's interesting how people believe that they have to leave the toxic relationship first. Can't we begin to find the power as we're in it, so that when we do become powerful, we understand why we left the relationship and we don't find ourselves back in it once more? Let's start. Let's talk about the 3 things that you want to do to stop being bullied in a toxic relationship. There's definitely going to be more videos on this particular content, but for right now, let's start with the 3 first things that you can do to begin to pull some of your power back and to stop being bullied. The first thing that I'd like to discuss in today's video are the personal cut downs, the personal put downs that you are probably dealing with in the relationship. Depending on how long you've been in the relationship, it could have just started in the last few weeks, maybe the last few months, or the last few years, when you were being you, maybe having a fun sense of humor, or maybe you have a really cute laugh, or maybe you talk really loud, or maybe you have an interesting, sense of humor, whatever that looks like. When you were you in this relationship, the other person is putting you down, making you feel bad about who you are, making you question who you are. So if you're a very funny person and they keep putting you down for the humor, this is horrible, why do you keep doing this? And you start what? You start internalizing things, but you start kind of hiding yourself. And you stop being that person that you are. If you're very witty, to stop having jokes is pretty interesting. It changes your entire personality, right? If you're a very happy person and every time that you speak of happiness or positive situation, the other person's like, why are you talking about that? It's all rainbows with you. You live in a fantasy world, you need to wake up. Or if you're a very loud, boisterous person, the person's constantly telling you, you're too loud, you're overwhelming, you're pestering me, I can't stand your energy, you've got to calm down. What happens over time, right, is that we're being controlled. We're being controlled to be a different way. And I want you to think about it. You were that way when you walked into the relationship. So now, why is that so bad? Why are the things that you were in the very beginning, why is that not what this person wants anymore? But better yet, why are you taking away or shutting down parts of your personality to make that person happy? And I bet you would have to agree that you have literally closed down a lot of yourself just to kind of keep the peace and also not to be called names or not to be made fun of. And so think about it. What makes you unique? What are those things that really just kind of you stand apart from the rest, right? Is it your humor? Is it your energy? Is it your jokes? Is it your laughter? Is it your sense of positive and your care about freedom? Whatever it is, think about what that is that makes you unique and look at how often that other person has put you down for being that unique individual. Are you prepared to fully lose that identity? I don't think so. I think that one of the biggest issues and problems in this relationship is that they're trying to literally take you apart and rebuild you in their image so that they can constantly control you, right? And how often are we letting them do it? Because we don't want to hear it. And so that's the first thing, is that the first way to stop being bullied in a toxic relationship is to realize that you need to get back to your roots. You may not know exactly your full, authentic identity, but you do know things that really speak to you. You know the things that you really care about. Maybe you're a highly spiritual person, and when you talk about spiritual things, your significant other says, oh, you're stupid, or you're weird, or you're crazy, and so you just kind of keep it all in, and you have nobody to communicate with anymore. Think about that. How does that make you feel? To hide a piece of you, because apparently to your significant other, it's not good. It's weird. It's not valuable. It makes you look crazy. And so these are the things that we need to regain and be able to analyze how many things have I literally hidden about me just to make this person like me? And is that worth it? And ultimately understanding that every time this person does that, they're controlling you. The second thing that I would like to discuss is that we want to stop making the other person larger than life. More often than not, when we get bullied or pushed into a corner or controlled, we begin to see that other person as a lot larger and more powerful than they truly are. And this is extremely important. Men and women. When I'm working with clients, I talk about that. I say, tell me more about this person. Tell me more about this person. And I usually come to find out that this person, they've been making them out to be larger than life because of the fear. The fear of what the person's going to say, the fear of what's going to come out of their mouth, the fear of the control, the fear of the anger, right? And so it's interesting how we have a tendency of then acquiescing to that person. And I'm not advocating a fight or a full argument, but what I am saying is that let's be able to see the other person clearly as they are. This person cannot control themselves at all, and so they have to control me to feel in control, okay? Does that say that this is a powerful person? No. Anybody that feels that they have to control somebody else, make fun of them, put them down, call them names, disrespect them, is not a powerful person. Quite the opposite. They feel powerless. So when you're dealing with someone who is powerless, let's stop seeing them as a giant and let's start seeing them the size that they truly are. This is impactful, and this will stop you acquiescing to them out of fear of what they're going to do. What's the worst that could happen? This relationship ends? What's the best thing that can happen? You begin to see your identity and realize your value. Realize that you don't need this person because you realize that you've been controlled to believe that you're not good enough, and that's why they keep putting you down. And that's why I'm advocating you to do this work while you're in the relationship. You don't have to wait to do the work when you leave. Do it now. This will also help you to build up your self-esteem and self-worth. And it'll also help you to realize, as long as I keep realizing that I haven't been authentic to myself, that I've been hiding my authentic self to make this person like me or stay, when I start allowing my authentic self to come out honestly, not only am I showing myself that I care about myself, I'm actually building up my own personal power. And the third thing that I want to bring up is the realization that you are not going to keep the peace just because you don't speak up for yourself. Okay, we begin to believe that if we just acquiesce, if we just agree to it, they'll be quiet, they'll shut up, they'll stop nagging or arguing or fighting or screaming. And in the beginning that worked. It did work if you think about it. That's why you started doing it in the first place. But didn't it seem that over time they kept asking for more and more? Actually, they kept demanding for more and more. And they kept controlling you more and more and more. And each time they controlled you, they took a piece of your identity with them, right? They take a piece. They take a small piece, and you give them an inch, they take a mile. And you decided, well, I'm just going to keep the peace. I just don't want to say anything. I don't want to do anything. And every time you stay more quiet, you lose your identity. Every time you allow them to call you a name, you lose your identity. Every time you allow them to put you down, subconsciously you lose your value and self-worth. So what is the peace we really have? I mean, really think about it. Do you have peace? What are you really trying to keep? I mean, this is a big question to ask yourself. What are you really trying to keep? To me, this would be a great trial, right, you might say, of figuring out, okay, I'm going to slowly take myself back and put myself back together. And I'm going to slowly integrate that into my day-to-day life. And I'm going to realize my triggers to acquiesce because I'm fearful of what they're going to do. And the next time I'm fearful of that, or I want to keep the peace, I'm going to figure that out. I'm going to see that and become aware of that. And I'm not going to do it anymore. Maybe you're scared of what they're going to say. Does what they say matter? Second thing is maybe you're fearful of how they're going to react. Okay, well, I don't like being yelled at or screamed at. And if that's constant, that's really not keeping the peace. They're just controlling you to be quiet and to shut up so they get what they want. And so we have to ask, what environment am I willing to live in? What am I going to take day in and day out? And see, these are our boundaries, but directly reflect on our values of ourself. And so analyzing that, because a lot of times we want to keep the peace, but there hasn't been any peace. The peace is only their control of you. And so the only way you can keep the peace is as long as they control you like a piece of property. They can walk on the property anytime they want. They can do whatever they want. They can have a bonfire on the property if they want. It doesn't matter. They don't have to ask you because you want to keep the peace. And at this point, I want you to pull back your power, your energy, and begin to ask yourself, am I keeping the peace, or am I staying in this relationship because I'm fearful, because I've been put down so much that I've become kind of codependent, that I'm worried that maybe somebody else won't want me? But the biggest thing is, before we can look at somebody else wanting you or being in a relationship, we need to find out who you are. And the one good thing about this relationship is that it's awakened you to realize that you have somewhat lost your identity or didn't know your full identity going into this relationship. Because if you had known your full identity and were authentic and were unconditionally loving yourself, you would have never allowed yourself to be in a relationship with this other person, because it wouldn't have been good enough for you. Because you wouldn't have settled for it. Even if they changed over time, you would have ended it, put the brakes on and left, because you wouldn't need it, because you already love yourself. You don't need to be this to somebody else where they're taking advantage of you and controlling you. So I hope this video has resonated with you and impacted you in a way that you realize that even in the middle of toxicity, we can begin to take back our identity. Okay, when we take back our identity, we take back some of our personal power. When we take back some of our personal power, we begin to build our self-esteem and self-worth. When we begin to do that, we begin to respect ourselves. And then we begin to question, are we happy with where we are, or do we think we can do better on our own? Okay. It's up to you. There'll be more videos on this exact content coming up as well. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. And if you like this video, please like it and comment on it. I'd love to hear some of your comments on some of the things that you realized and analyzed in the middle of a toxic relationship, and maybe some of the things that you did to bring back your identity and to literally overcome that fear of how they're going to respond and to find your true authentic self. We also have membership opportunities here on the YouTube channel, and you can click on that join button right there and you can learn more about it, watch the video, and get an idea of what that opportunity looks like. Okay, I look forward to seeing you in the next video, and by the way, don't forget to live your true life.